Hey everybody, this is Brady Henderson from the Swansea Tiger Sports Network, and you are listening to episode 3 of the Tiger Den podcast. And episode 2 was our broadcast of this past week's game against Silver Bluff, which you can also catch on the YouTube channel. But this is episode 3, which is a preview of Fox Creek with Coach Fox. So that's going to be a tongue twister for a few days here. But Coach Fox, we really enjoyed last week's episode, got a lot of views and attention from that, heard a lot of good feedback, and really appreciate you taking the time. Being a high school football coach is quite busy.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, and like I said, it just gives good exposure for our program and gives our fans a good, I feel like maybe an inside access to what we're doing and who we are.
Absolutely. And in addition to this inside access, as you enter Doug Bennett this coming Friday night, you can pick up my game notes that I've put together. They'll be at the ticket booth as you walk in. They are free. We had a few questions about that last week. I'd love to take your money, but I'm not going to. So they're free. And they're opinion-based, and I've written those and put them together. But anyway, Coach, we've got Fox Creek. Before we go to them, I want to very briefly talk about last week. I want to thank the fans for coming out. And like I said, you can listen to our broadcast, and you can, if you weren't here, you can go back and listen to it, or if folks want to check certain parts of the game, you can do that too, as we called it. But, Coach, first and foremost, what I've heard from the community is how proud they are. Our guys never gave up. They never stopped, and to be honest with you, as I said with you after the game and post-game, Swansea, I truly believe Swansea beat Swansea. There were some things that we made mistakes, but we were in the game the entire time. A lot of outside noise, probably didn't expect it to be that close, and it was, and definitely had every opportunity to win that ball game. After reviewing and watching the film, Coach, just your thoughts.
It's very much what I told you the other night. I thought we played probably better for most of the game, for 95% of that game, than we have all year on probably both sides of the ball. But I went back and we talked about it with our kids on Monday. There's about 8 plays in that game. If 2 of them go the other way, we win the game.
Yep.
You take any 2 of them, and then we win that ball game. And when you're playing a good football team, as we are for the last 3 weeks of this year, you don't have the ability. Your margin for error is really small. And, we saw that the other night where, it was 8, and I feel like it was really 8 plays. And you can take any of those 8 plays, you turn them around, you put them in our favor, and the outcome's different, and we're sitting here at 8-0 instead of 7-1.
Yeah.
But that's just, you have to move on, and like I said, we did some good things the other night, and then, there's a couple things, obviously, that ended up costing us the ball game. And we just got to clean those things up, and we got to move forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you said the other night, flush it of several things about the game I noticed. For the first time in, I think, 4 or 5 games, we were 100% wing T. And so, obviously, we talked a little bit last week about the game plan, and looking back on it, now I know that was the game plan for the wing tee. So what went into that? What went into running the wing tee for the majority of the game?
Well, we're running what the offense that we've ran for most of the year is wing tee based. When we're, we've got a tight end in the wing just about every set we run. And then for most of the year, we've had 2 guys split out wide. And then, we're moving them around, and we're getting in different places. And then we also run the single wing, where we get when Graddick comes into the game, and we're really tight. Looks like we're in a phone booth, and we've had some bad snaps. We've had some snaps go past the quarterback or past the tailback, whoever we're trying to snap the ball to at that moment, and we just felt like we'd be a little safer under center. Some of those things that were killing us in some games, that were killing some of our drives, were bad snaps.
Gotcha.
And we felt like we'd be a little bit better under center. And what we really did was take both of those offenses and kind of combine them.
I see that, yeah.
And so we were kind of running the single wing under center. We had 2 wings, but we're bringing, using a lot of motion, bringing one of those guys in motion, getting a lot of guys to the point of attack. And actually being under center actually helps us with some of our misdirection. It's harder to know where the ball is because when the quarterback's 5 yards deep, you can see everything.
Yep.
But when that quarterback's under center and he's turning his back to the line of scrimmage, you can't always see the ball.
Yeah.
And, we felt like that was to our advantage. And I think that showed in the run game.
Oh, yeah, 309 yards on the ground,
Yeah,
Coach.
which is kind of what I'm used to as a coach is we're going to line up, we're going to run the football. We had some opportunities in the passing game.
Yes, there were
we
some.
we only ended up with 31 yards passing. We had a couple drops. We had a couple misses, or that number would have been a lot different. I think we could have easily thrown for over 100 yards in the game.
Yes,
And that makes a difference.
It
That's
does.
a couple of those plays were some of those 8 that I was talking about. So
well, and one of them that comes to my mind, and I saw this young man right after the game and talked with him and got a good relationship with him. But Dante Caldwell, he was at Waffle House when I was at Waffle House. And, that one play on our sideline where he drops the football, as I said to our crew, if he catches that ball, he's gone. And
yes,
that's
sir.
a 60-yard pass play. So, things like that are going to happen. And
Yes,
as I told one of the fans asked me after the game about the loss, and I said, I would much rather lose now and learn some things and get better on some things than 4 weeks from now when
That's
when we're deep in the playoffs fighting for a state championship.
That's right.
Coach, I truly believe with how hard our region is, I think we are going to be in the thick of it come a few weeks, and I think that we can truly present some problems for some teams. Thought the defense was good, as I told you the other night, and I know you said some things off air, but just so proud. A second game this year that it could have gotten chippy, but because of the character of our guys and our young men, they don't jaw. They don't get up and want to fight. The other team is baiting constantly, it felt like the other night, getting quite chippy. Our guys don't do that, and that's a big product to their parents, to them, and to you guys as coaches.
Well, that's something we stress. We're not going to get mixed up in that stuff. And when guys do, they come sit on the sideline.
That's right.
And it's a shame that sometimes that's what high school sports is becoming. It's not enough to beat somebody. You got to rub it in, and I hate that part of it. I hate that part of what sports is becoming. But I want to commend our guys. They do an outstanding job of avoiding that sort of thing.
Yes.
And that, to me, that's part of the core values of our program is we're going to be accountable to one another because nothing good comes out of that.
That's right.
All you're going to do is hurt your team because
that's right.
You're going to get a penalty or you're going to get ejected, and just nothing good comes out of that. Play between the whistles.
Exactly. And one thing I noticed, Charlie Moody got the start at center. So assuming that had to do with the wing tee and the purpose of that, I would assume.
Yes, sir. Charlie, we've been playing him at 2 different positions.
Yep.
He went to when we're in the gun, he's playing center, and we actually were able to move him back to his normal position of inside tackle. When we're under center, he can go back to where he normally goes. And he played an outstanding football game. Probably his best game since I've been here. And, Charlie's a big, strong kid, and he moves really well for how big he is. You don't get a lot of 350-pounders that can move like Charlie does.
Yeah.
But he just got it in his mind he was going to move people, and you see it. I remember the first play. I mean, he drives the guy all the way to our sideline and pancakes him. So
yep.
He set the tone on the first play, and he's in the running for the state player of the week.
He is.
Charlie's, and he's just such a good kid, man. He's a good leader for us. He does an outstanding job, and you just wish every lineman could be like him. So, just really good game from him this week.
Well, and I mean, if he wins the State Player of the Week this week, he'll be the second offensive lineman from Swansea to get it this year behind Davis Livingston. And so that was a big deal. I think the offensive line is a huge strength of this team. They are so cohesive, and they can move people.
Yes, sir.
And I need to remind the Caldwell running back duo that their line is really good. And makes a lot of room for them, as I'm sure they know that. But between DeAndre and Dante, 181 of your 309 rushing yards came from the 2 of them. Obviously, 17 carries, 101 yards for Dante. And then DeAndre made the most of his carries. He had 6, but he went for 80 yards. Specifically, that long run that he had was super good, and it was good to see him get that. Kendall Wright, I believe it was in the first quarter, he went out with what looked to be a head injury. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, he got poked in the eye.
Okay.
And it was just, man, his vision was blurry. They ended up calling a face mask on that play, and somebody got their hand up in his helmet, and he had to come out because his vision was blurry for a while. It wasn't a shot to the head. He just got poked in the eye. But he's fine now. He obviously came back in the game, and
Yeah.
he ran the ball and played really well. Both the Caldwell boys played really well for us, and DeAndre didn't get as many carries as Dante did, but like you said, when DeAndre gets it in his hands, right now he's just not quite as big and strong as Dante is. He's
That's
2
right.
years behind him.
Yep.
But he does when he finds a crease, he is special. One of our coaches said he just glides.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And going back to our offensive line, we pride ourselves on being physical. That group is physical. We're not always bigger than who we're playing against, but
Correct.
They come off the football. Coach Deaver does an outstanding job coaching those guys.
Yes, he does. And Kevin Seitler, really, proud of how far he's come. He's a sophomore. Talked with him before the game the other day. Just a good attitude. Just a good kid.
Yeah, he's a great kid. He was the student body president last year at the Freshman Academy.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes
El
sense.
Presidente.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with him. And defensively, we talked last week in the preview show about Nick Riley. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned very discreetly that he was going to play, and play he did. As far as Nick goes, one of his best games. I talked to Coach Mack after the game, and Coach Mack jokingly said, he did all right. Well, he did pretty good. I believe 6 tackles was his total. DeAndre had 10 tackles. DeAndre at safety was flying around, making some really nice plays. Defensively, really good game with some adversity. Obviously, fans probably saw star linebacker Jarrell Wine, number 14, in crutches on the sideline. He was injured the day before, and so some guys had to step up. And I actually heard some of the players say before the game, next man up. And so they definitely live by that. I thought the defense played well. As you said, the game is going to end up coming down to just a few plays. But defensively, as we say every week, a Brad Coleman defense is a scary good defense. Your thoughts on their play?
Our defense did, at times, they played better than they have all year. And that's, we gave up 37 points, but not all of that was defense. We gave up a special team score.
Yeah.
There was, on the plays they scored on, they had 3 explosive plays, and their 3 explosive plays were all touchdowns. We got beat over the top twice on 2 passes, and we had a long run where the guy broke a tackle at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And, those are things that, they happen, and you do your best to try to clean up. We got to tackle better. We know that. And but I thought DeAndre played really well for us. He did a really good job on the edge for us. We talked last week about having to control the edge, and they did a good job.
Yeah.
And Nick is the guy that really came into the game and tried to replace Jarrell. We played more hands in the dirt than what we normally do, and Nick's growing up. He's getting better and better and better, and Nick. For guys that don't know him, Nick is a freak athlete. He is really big. He is really strong. He is really fast, but he is also really raw. And and he's getting less and less raw as we go throughout this year. Coach Mack does a good job with him too. So we're just continuing to work with him, and he's getting better and better, as all those young guys are.
Well, and I mean, we say it every week, and I hope this young man listens. Jeremiah Waymires, only freshman on the team. Talk about it every week. I mean, the way that he moves on that defensive line, you can see it from the box. College coaches need to go ahead and get their eyes on him. He's just a freshman, but you need to go ahead and get out here this spring and watch this guy move. Jeremiah Waymires. I love that kid, love his attitude. He's got a younger brother on the middle school team that's going to be coming up here soon who's also a good playmaker. But love Jeremiah, love the way he plays. That first passing touchdown of the game from Silver Bluff, and I want to get your opinion on the 2 quarterback system they were running. Obviously, I thought that I believe his name is Trellis
Riley.
Riley. Okay, I got it wrong here on my sheet. But Trellis Riley, I thought he was going to be the starting quarterback. Williams was in at the beginning of the game and for most of the game. What do you know about that? Was somebody hurt there, or is that just a decoy?
Number 8, Trellis Riley took a bad fall in the game before.
Okay.
I think he may have had a shoulder injury.
Gotcha.
And then the kid behind him, though, played quarterback pretty much all year last year. Williams kid played quarterback all year. Williams may be a better passer. Riley's a really, really shifty little athlete, and
because he played receiver
and
too.
He ended up playing receiver.
Yeah,
so it was like he didn't have the arm strength to be able to throw. But he is a dynamic athlete, obviously. So,
But they were confident with Williams. I
yes,
mean,
they were.
They were letting him throw it around, and
I mean, it's nice to have a kid that's about 6'4" and 200 pounds as your backup quarterback in high school football. So, with the arm that he had, so absolutely.
Yeah, and so one of the plays that I wanted to go back to was that first touchdown of the game by Silver Bluff over there on their sideline. He throws a long pass. I believe Therese James was on the coverage there. Therese looked to be in incredible position. So just kind of walk us through that play. How did the opposing receiver get the ball? Because Therese was all on it, and I thought he was in a great position to, at the very least, knock it down.
Yeah, he was in the right spot. Ball was like a moonshot. That thing went way up in the air. And when you watch the play, Therese, I think, mistimes his jump.
Gotcha.
And he jumps a little early. The ball, he gets up there at the peak of his jump. Ball comes down right into the receiver's hands. I just think he mistimed his jump. And I don't want to make excuses for him, but the ball was that pass was really high.
Yeah,
You gotta time your jump right, and he just happened to mistime his jump on that play, and kid made him pay for it.
Well, and he had good coverage.
He did.
I mean, can't overlook that. And so, other thing before we move to Fox Creek, and a little bit about the game plan there, you had to love it if you're a special teams guy. And I will say this about special teams: we talked last week that was going to be a key game. Before we had a special teams giving up a special teams touchdown. Did it again this week. So, what are we looking to do as far as special teams coverage? And I'm talking about our defensive special teams. What are we doing to try to make that a little bit better going into Fox Creek?
Trying to simplify a little bit. Maybe we got a little too complicated. Just trying to. We knew we didn't want to kick the ball deep to Silver Bluff. They have some guys that we did not want to get a running start and then us try to tackle them. So we're trying to kick the ball on the ground, and then that one ended up bouncing right through. They fielded it cleanly. We had one guy get out of his lane, and when you do that against good athletes, it gets you in trouble. So we're going to simplify a little bit this week and try to make it a little bit simpler for our kids. And then on the kickoff return, we had a communication error.
Gotcha.
Ball ends up going right between two return guys, and we worked hard on that this week. Is a real set system in who has what, and making sure that we communicate that during the play.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to mention the young kicker. You mentioned most of the kickoffs were on the ground, and obviously, fans, you're hearing that was on purpose. So that is not Figueroa's, main leg. He's got a leg. We've seen it. And really proud of the young man. Sophomore, comes in 4 for 4. Obviously, Oscar Espinoza, and I say 4 for 4 on PATs. Oscar Espinoza is quite the talented kicker, and hopefully we'll have him back next year. I believe he's just a junior. But anyway, Figueroa did a great job, I thought. The other team had a really good kicker, too. Do you guys feel confident moving forward? Obviously, you feel confident with PATs, but let's say a field goal. Do you feel confident with that with Figueroa?
We're getting close. We're getting there. He's got a good leg, and he's gaining more and more confidence in what he's doing. So the more I watch him, the more confidence we have in him, and we're getting there.
Gotcha. And there's so much more for the fans. There's so much more that goes into that than just a kicker. We've got a holder, we've got a snapper, long snapper, we've got all that. Okay. And the way that you guys run the football, especially in short yardage packages, is a reason why you necessarily wouldn't have to go for a field goal with the way you guys run offense. So let's transition. Let's talk about Fox Creek, Coach. Obviously, last year, I believe you guys went to Augusta, right?
North
Augusta, and defeated these guys. Tell us a little bit about that game last year and what you learned from that one.
Well, we went, this last year was a little bit different story. We went down there, and let's see, Dante got hurt early, and we were down to basically having one running back that really had a lot of reps that year. So Tayshawn ended up having a really big game. Tayshawn Charlie for us had a really big game last year. I think he rushed about 250 yards. The problem was he did a lot of that between the 20s, and then by the time we would get down to the 20-yard line, his tongue was hanging out because he was so tired, and I think he carried it about 45 times or something like that.
Wow.
We didn't throw the ball much, but Jacob Harper ended up getting a big touchdown for us about the middle of that game, and we hit one long pass play down the sideline. Ahmad Johnson, these are guys that have graduated, obviously, but Ahmad Johnson hit a long jet sweep for us. So we did some good things, and then defensively we held them to 7 points.
I see that 21-7.
So we did a good job of defending them. They had big playability last year too, probably a little bit more this year because they've got some guys in that they didn't have last year. But it was a physical football game, but I think we just pretty much out-physicaled them for most of that ball game.
Well, and since 2005, these teams have only played each other 3 times. Obviously, last year, and then in 2020 and 2021, Fox Creek won both of those. So the overall record is 2-1, goes to the Predators. So we haven't played them a lot. Obviously, they're down in North Augusta, so it would make a ton of sense to usually play them. But they're coached by a coaching veteran, nearly 4 decades of coaching experience is what the Predators have of Coach Lackey. And some of his previous stops include Evans High School in Georgia. He was with the Knights for 6 seasons there. And then he was the head coach at Lucy Laney High School. There he had an overall record of 56-33. He's got a ton of experience, as you know. So far this season, they have given up 302 points, only allowed 128. But you need to look at their schedule. You need to look at their schedule to see who they've played. They did get a big win against Dixie. And looking at who they've lost to outside of Newberry, they lost to Orangeburg-Wilkinson 21-13. And then obviously last week they fell to Keenan 28-21. And we do want to tell you that Keenan did get their quarterback. He's eligible for these last 2 games, and he's a very good quarterback. And so he did play against the Predators of Fox Creek, and Keenan ended up winning that game. But when you outside of Newberry, who we know is very good, we get to see them next week. Orangeburg and Keenan, those are both very close games, very close scores. They are very pesky, and they run the football. They're averaging 37.7 points a game. They're allowing 16 points a game. They are on a 3-game losing streak, but we cannot let that fool us. They are strong. They are gritty. Statistically, they are very run-heavy. So far this season, they've ran for a total of 1,691 yards. That is an average of 241.6 rushing yards a game and 8.2 yards per carry. Our defense has their assignment put out for them. Your thoughts on Fox Creek and what they've put on tape so far?
They're really good in the skill positions. They've got several guys that have transferred into them. A couple of them from Georgia, a couple of them from North Augusta. They've got some really good skill position players. They got a good little running back, number 4. Really good. They got 2 quarterbacks. Kid that was there last year is number 1, and then they've got the kid that transferred in, number 8, who's a really good athlete with a cannon attached to his shoulder. Got good receivers on the edges, and then they're big up front as well. They're really big inside. So they're really, really good offensively. They run the ball a lot, but they also have the ability to throw it. They're really multiple offensively, H-back, tight end, heavy. But then at the same time, they'll come out in the next series and be 5 wide.
Yeah.
So they're very multiple. They do a lot of things. So we definitely have our work cut out for us, and we're going to have to. We feel like the game's going to be won at the line of scrimmage at the end of the day, though. We've got to do a good job of defending the run and then obviously running the football. But we feel like, as most football games are, this game's going to be won on the line of scrimmage.
I'd agree with that, and you mentioned some of their star players. Junior running back number 4 is Bryson Crawford. He is on the cusp of an 1,000-yard rushing season. He's got 18 touchdowns on the season. Brandon Wallace, as you mentioned, the junior dual-threat quarterback. You mentioned something that I kind of want to dive into as far as for the fans' sake. You mentioned the word transfer, and we hear that a lot in college. But it happens at the high school level. Can you elaborate on that? What does that look like? What does that mean? And why does it happen in high school? I mean, at least when I was growing up, wherever you're zoned for is where you played. So Talk a little bit about that.
High school league passed a one-time transfer rule last year where you can transfer one time in high school, and you are immediately eligible if you're there before the first day of practice. So, it became a little easier this year to move somewhere else, and kids do it for all sorts of reasons. The most high profile story was the kid at Keenan. He was a starting quarterback at South Point, and then he wasn't. Somebody beat him out, and they moved him. They picked him up, and they said we're going to Keenan High School. And they had whatever tie they had with Keenan, who knows? But now he's at Keenan and he's the starting quarterback. And that part of that thing, the way that works now is for better or worse. Kids get a better maybe kids get a better situation, a better opportunity. But the negative of that is maybe you're losing the ability to fight through some adversity. And I think that's a big part of what sports offers.
Yeah.
If you're not the man, you got to beat the man.
That's right.
I remember Ric Flair. You say that all the time.
Oh yeah.
If you're not the man, you got to beat the man. And it's at the end of the day. But that's just where we are in high school athletics. It's they've got a couple guys in that transferred in that are good football players. And this ain't the first team we've played this year that have that.
Yeah.
I think back to Pillion. Pillion had 3 or 4 transfers that really made their team a whole lot different than they have been. So, this is definitely not the first team we've seen with that, and it's just like I said, it's where we are with high school athletics, for better or worse.
So, in reference to the Keenan quarterback, how does that work? So, South Point, I know that's Rock Hill. Mm-hmm. So, does he move? Does he have to move?
You don't officially have to move now. But I mean, I'm assuming he's living somewhere near Keenan. So
is he being recruited?
I don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a different age. It's a different day, and I'm assuming, I might be wrong with this, but I'm assuming Swansea hadn't had any transfers come in this year.
We actually have Therese as a transfer.
Okay. Okay.
He came to us from Woodland. So
okay.
we do have at least him and Logan O'Neill. Logan O'Neill was here before. And then they passed this transfer rule, and he was at Northside Christian, which was a private school.
Yeah.
But he came back to us.
Okay.
So we do have 2.
Gotcha. Okay. So, interesting day. I'm kind of with you. I think every situation is different. If there's certain reasons, whatever. But if it's just because somebody beat you out, I don't know about that. I mean, what are you going to do in life? That's going to happen in life a lot of times. And so looking forward to this week's game, what is your offensive game plan? We know last week primarily with the wing T. So what are you thinking about this week, Coach?
We're just trying to expand a little bit on what we were doing last week. I thought it went well for us. We're trying to, work on the passing game out of it a little bit, be a little bit more multiple out of it. And then obviously I feel like, and I think other coaches know this, we're going to go into a game with a new package every week.
Yeah.
We're going to try to show a defense something they haven't seen. So we got something there, and then trying to expand on what we're doing well and do something new that the defense hasn't seen. So, like I said, I think we're in a good place offensively, and if we just execute a little bit better, then we're just obviously going to be a little bit better.
Well, the Predators obviously run the ball well, but they also average 124 passing yards a game, so you also kind of have to keep that in checks. Defensively, with Brad Coleman's defense, what's the plan there?
Fox Creek runs the ball. I mean, they run the ball, but when they throw it, they mean it. They don't dink and dunk you down the field. They take shots. And, that's something we've got to do a good job of. We have got to keep them in front of us. We cannot let them get behind us, which has obviously been a problem at times this year. But we cannot let receivers get behind us. And obviously we've got to do a good job up front of winning the line of scrimmage and stopping their run game.
Absolutely. And this coming Friday night is senior night. I will not be with you guys. Matt Barfield's going to handle things with the Swansea Tiger Sports Network along with the rest of the crew. I'm doing a wedding for a childhood best friend. But, Tigers fought great last week. Tell us a little bit about how the region's going. Obviously, Newberry's sitting at 2-0, Silver Bluff 2-1. We're 1-1. And then Fox Creek. And then, of course, Keenan at 1-1 and Fox Creek at 0-2 in the region play. So, obviously, top 3 teams, I believe, get home playoff advantage. So, tell us where we are in the hunt as far as that goes. And, by the way, a region championship is not out of the question.
No, it's not. There's a lot. There's a lot of football to be played. 2 more weeks of region football games. So, all we're gonna do is worry about where we are, and we're gonna try to win. We're gonna try to beat Fox Creek this week. We're gonna try to beat Newberry next week. But we, obviously region championship's not out of the question, depending on what happens in these weeks. If we win out, that would probably be the case. We'd probably be region champs. But we feel like there's a lot of things that we can still accomplish. We finish 1, 2, or 3, depending on how these things work out. And third place gets a home playoff game, and so does second and first. So we're just going to play these football games and see where we end up. And when we get to the playoffs, we'll play whoever we're supposed to play, wherever we're supposed to play.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, kind of looking ahead, I know you're not supposed to do that, but we'll tell our fans, go ahead and gear up. Go ahead and make sure your Friday nights are clear as we keep moving forward. We're going to need you here, especially if it's at home. That would be a home playoff game, first time for a long time. Last week was the first time since, I believe, week 4 or 5 that Swansea fell out of the top 10 rankings. But all you got to do is win these 2 and get back in. Of course, those don't really matter anyway. 7-1 is at a good spot, but it does kind of let you know that the outside looking in does respect what Swansea's doing, spending most of the season at that number 9 spot, which is pretty accurate. So that definitely shows we're going to create some problems for some teams in the playoffs, and I truly believe that, and we're looking forward to that. Obviously, I'm assuming Coach Kendall Wright's eye is okay, and I'm assuming he's going to get the start Friday night yet again.
Yes, sir. He's fine. He's had a really good week of practice, and we talk about him getting better every week. He gets better every day. I sometimes forget he is a first-year varsity starting quarterback, and I got to keep that in mind all the time. And fans, obviously our fans do too. He's doing a really good job. He has done a good job of managing this season, and he's made big plays for us with his arm, with his legs, and he's doing an outstanding job for us. We just got to keep helping him grow. Keep helping him grow.
Well, and if you look on the game notes, there's a nice little picture of you and Kendall. Yeah. That's a good reminder. Maybe we should put it up here in the field house whenever he gets frustrated to remember the love that you guys have for him and the entire team. Of course, William Geddes, great game again. He has 6 college offers, I believe. Most of those are D3, but great young man that he is. And he was, I believe, WTLX Player of the Week recently.
Yep. WLTX right? Player of the Week. Miss Myers that works in the building, she nominated him. Somehow we get all these emails and all these things for all these things to nominate. Somehow WLTX didn't get sent to me, but she nominated him, and he's a great. William deserves everything he gets. You guys watch him play every Friday night. He goes out and leads our football team. Yes. Every Friday night, and on top of it, he's just such a good kid.
Such
a magnanimous personality, man. Everybody gravitates to him. He's one of the most popular kids in the building.
I believe that
for good stuff, for a good reason. A lot of time, popular kids are hard to deal with, but he's a great kid, man. He deserves it.
Absolutely. Well, I do kind of want to end with this. Friday night, it was inevitable. We heard some fans being louder than normal, I guess, and not always in the positive way. I want to remind our fans, not necessarily. I want to do it on your behalf, not necessarily that you can come out and say this, but I want to remind our fans it's not time to panic. We have a really good football team, and let's not forget, 2 years ago, didn't win a game, 0-10. Coach Fox comes in last year, 7-4. This year, 7-1 with a head full of steam going into playoff time. So let's just remember that we're not all football coaches, and we might not all agree with different things, but this staff is doing a great job. And I know the game was intense this past week, but some folks wanted to make their opinions known. I didn't know what was going on. My wife told me what was going on. I didn't even realize it. I was too entranced in calling the game, obviously, and keeping up with you guys. But I just want to remind our fans how blessed we are. And for those that don't know, obviously we're independent media, so I can say this, but I'm a pastor. That's my job. That's my calling, and we need to know our blessings and be thankful for what we have. And so, Coach Fox, on behalf of the majority of the fan base, I appreciate you guys. Obviously, as coaches, you know what you sign up for. Players, you know what you sign up for, all of that. But I want our kids and I want our fans to know that we are more than certainly headed in the right direction.
So I appreciate you saying that. I don't hear anything that goes on back there. I know that I look back there and I know we got a big crowd and I know they're getting loud at the right times. And but I've been doing this a long time, man.
You have, yeah.
That stuff don't bother me anymore. You pay your money, you say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say is, kids hear that stuff. And they're not grown men, and they respond to a lot of things, and but again, I love the maturity of our young men too. We talked about that a little while ago about not getting mixed up in things on the field. So, our kids are mature, and we're just going to keep doing what we do.
Absolutely, and I just want our kids to know that we're proud of you, and people are going to talk, especially if some of you go the next level. You think you thought this past Friday was bad? My goodness, wait till you get the next level with how that goes, and we're seeing that currently with South Carolina and the Gamecocks and all of that. So, Coach, Swansea is going to win this week if
we control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. We have to win the line of scrimmage, and then we have to keep everything in front of us in the secondary. I'm gonna boil it. Last week I told you 3. There's 2. We got to win the line of scrimmage, and we have got to keep them in front of us in the secondary.
Absolutely. And that secondary keeps growing up. I mean, there's some improvement needs to be made there. But even like we talked about with Therese, he was in the right position and ready to make a play, and stuff like that's going to happen. It's going to happen.
The only one of those guys back there that was a starter last year was Trace Selfridge.
Yeah.
Everybody else, some of them are juniors. Even Dante's a senior, but Dante hadn't played any defense.
Gotcha.
Everybody back there, we have 5 guys in the secondary, and all 4 of them are first-year varsity starters in the secondary. So.
Well, and we've got to be ready ourselves on offense. Defensively, Fox Creek is led by Noah Gaines. He's a very good player. He's got 60 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 for loss. Their defense has taken the ball away 12 times in 8 games, so we got to protect the football. We've done really well with that this season. I believe we had 2 turnovers the other night, to bring our total to 8, but prior to that it was 6. And so anyway, really looking forward to hearing the result. Hopefully I'll get some texts and some things, but thank you guys for tuning in to the Tiger Den podcast preview show. Today's episode is brought to you by Blazon in Gaston, as well as the First Baptist Church in Gaston. Coach, we appreciate you, and let's keep making a push. We've still got some region play ahead of us. But as we started this episode, we can't look past Fox Creek and look at Newberry on Halloween. We've got to take care of business tonight for a potential setup for a region championship game. Coach, thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.